You are going on a ride on the diamond tip of RCA Victor's new living stereo stylus as it plunges down through a canyon of sound where music is made.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a bedroom artist. Yeah, I feel like your bedroom's definitely, your own little personal space, and no one's there to judge you and tell you what you're making's wrong or that you should do it differently. And so, I feel like I'm always at my creative peak when I'm kind of alone and, just noodling around on the computer and coming up with loops and stuff.
Young people, like this generation, just being like, I don't need that to make what I want, and my standard doesn't have to be like the industry standard. I feel like it's like genuine people who just making what they want to make, putting it out into the world. It's not an exclusive thing. It just goes to prove that you can do it if you want to, if that's what you think you have to do.
I lived in Dunedin for a year, and I was in this small ass cabin, and then I made a whole album in that room. But I don't know, this still kind of feels like a bedroom to me, just because it's so far away from a lot of things, and then you kind of just get lost in it. Yeah, I think that's just the main reason why I like music, and I just think about anything. You can just be.
I literally do everything in my bedroom, mostly so I don't have to clean it up the next day. I can just have it all the time and just work at different things at the same time, and it's my own space, and I can just do whatever.
Before Inky, I was doing all my stuff in my bedroom at my parents' house. My walls were covered with posters and zines, and I would fill the floor with paper and stuff.
So my name is Carl, I make music, and I'm 21. So I make pop music in a project called Imugi, and I make kind of drum and bass, electronic experimental music in a group called d.i.y, and I also make my own electronic music, which is kind of sample-based hip-hop music, and that's under the name Dream Radio. And then I also just make a bunch of random songs on my computer, so hopefully something will come of that one day. There was this point when I was 17 or 18 where I'd been making beats, but I hadn't really ever showed anyone anything. I just put one song that I'd been working on my phone. I brought it to school and I showed a few friends, and one of my friends just turned around and said, "Oh, who is this?" And I said, "Oh, I made this." And she was like, "What?" And she couldn't believe it. And so that was kind of this point where I was like, whoa, I actually made something that someone wanted to listen to. And so yeah, that kind of made me want to take it a bit more seriously. When I start making a song, it's usually chasing one idea after the other, and you'll kind of make something and be like, oh, this kind of sounds it's got a bit of a house vibe to it, and then you can start following that and you think, oh, this would sound cool with this kind of drum beat, and you chuck that on, and it's kind of just make it up as you go along, and then you'll make something and you like the sound of it and be like, cool, I like that, I'll move on to the next part now, and then you start making something else, and then before you know it, you've got a minute of audio in front of you of something that you just created that you like the sounds of. So there's no real narrative driving it other than my want to create new and interesting sounds to listen to. It does make it hard to kind of reach the end, because it always feels like it can be improved, because I feel like I'm always learning, and so I always work on something and I feel like it's the best it can be, and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh, now I know how to do this, what if I use this on it? And I'm me, I feel like it's done when you don't listen to it for a week and you listen to it again and you can't think of anything you want to add to it. But 99% of the time that doesn't happen, that you're going to feel 100% satisfied with something that you've created, but when you do, it feels pretty good.
I'm Yeri, I'm 20, and I make music. I have stuff that I do by myself. I do it under the name Yaria, like the Virgin Maria. And I have Imugi, which I'm in with another friend, Carl. I think when I was 17, I always wanted to make music, and I always really wanted to do it. I played guitar and clarinet, but I never had the confidence, I guess, to even tell myself, yeah, I want to make music and do it seriously. And I guess just being in bands for the first time with friends and stuff in year 13, that's when I realized that I could do anything I wanted to do. that space is that's the meditative space for me. I want to go there, but sometimes you can be too scatterbrained and it's hard to calm down and go into that zone. But yeah, I feel it's very important. I think everybody has it. In terms of what inspires me for the things that I've done, I feel I never have one thing that inspires me. Right now, I think it's emotional connection, I guess, and just seeing music as a spiritual thing in terms of the journey of yourself, things that relate to that and that can kind of evoke other people's attentions and emotions and connecting to that emotion that I feel everybody does feel. It's in the music, it's personal to me, but to the listener, it's a different thing, and it's they connect to it differently because they may feel it differently or feel that thing but have a different name for it. I think you shouldn't limit yourself and you shouldn't put yourself in a box, because it's I saw this thing the other day that was just about think outside the box, but it's if you don't give yourself a box in the first place, then you don't have anything to, you don't have a set standard that you have to try being kind of thing. You can just do anything, and it can be anything at all. And I think people shouldn't think that they're bad at something. People who are oh, I'm so bad at drawing or I'm bad at singing. It's you don't have to be good at it to make something. I feel if you just learn what you need to be able to use it and put it and construct it in a way that you want it to be in, that doesn't equal to talent. Being Asian, being Korean, and doing stuff because the spaces were so dominantly white. But then I think that was also my fault in being so involved with more white people, I guess, because there are Asian people making art in New Zealand, and you realize that you're blessed with this really deep culture that's such a big part of your identity that these people don't have, and you're why did they make me feel so ashamed of this? This shit is awesome. It's me.
The portraits avoid eye contact. Looking away, never meeting the gaze of the others in the room, looking into a small cocoon. Rows of Maria, black hair undone. Inside black silk web, they merge into one. They only look to each other, aware of each one. An exhibition of the diaspora, the fragmented ones. Portraits of faces facing away. No reflection, no light, only halos that glow. Divergent with faces I know.
My name is Carlos Barnett. I make music. I kind of do two main things. So I play in one group called d.i.y. This is my good buddy Carl. It's just a two-piece electronic band, but I'm playing guitar and singing in it. The other thing I do is I like to produce pop music. One guy I'm working with right now, his name's Harry Parsons. Yeah, I used to be real into it when I was 14. I had Audacity on my family computer, and then I would just make these terrible guitar songs. The audio was so harsh and distorted, but I thought it was really good. I played guitar for a year, and it was all I did. And then after a year, I could play quite a few things, and that's why I got so into it. I think traditionally my approach to writing songs is quite the opposite. I just try to make stuff that I haven't really heard, or things that I want to hear. But now that I'm making pop music, sometimes I have to reference other tracks and take inspiration from them. When I started out, I used to just make whatever came to my mind. And then when I left high school and I started learning about composition, it kind of became the opposite. It was about taking one idea and then just using techniques to turn it into a whole song. But when I make a song now, for example, with d.i.y, I only use songs that just come to me, they just happen to come to me when I play guitar. Just because I'm spending so much other time working on other music, that's just the easiest way to go about the songs. And usually those are the best sounding songs. One I'm really proud of is the submarine song and the guitar lines of that. That was one that just kind of came about when I was jamming. It's less there's events that happen to me and then I have these feelings and then I write about them. It's more just a kind of mood that I'm feeling quite a lot, and then that kind of just affects the way that a song comes out. But then there's some aspects where ideas I think about a lot that are really impactful on my life, and then I'll try to write a song about it and spend a long time trying to just communicate that idea as clearly as I can, and it kind of just serves as a time capsule. Yeah, I like to write songs that when I look back on them, they bring back something I don't want to forget, Once I learned about this dude called Nietzsche, and then I wrote a song about it, and every time I think about that song, I just feel a bit more assured. I was literally just thinking like 2 days ago how good uni has been. Yeah, the other day I had the song that I've been sitting on for so long, but I couldn't really figure out how to make it into something I was super proud of. But like, because I did this production paper, the paper involved getting a session drummer in to like help with the song, that finally like brought that song to life. And it's just moments like those that are super exciting, and that's why I felt like really grateful. And like also things like the space, it's just pretty insane that it's available to use, you know? I don't know, I just think like you literally have everything here to make the best music you can. It's just down to your skills. And like, I don't know, that's just really inspiring.
I'm Brian, I'm 20 and I study fashion. I like to make mosaics and play jewellery, and I like to bake and make meals. And yeah. Welcome to Brian's Cooking Show. I did this weird jump from really wanting to be a pastry chef to just suddenly wanting to do fashion. I know I was interested in how clothes worked. No, there's something really cool about making something and wearing it. It feels so cool. I think with fashion, my grandma inspires me because she's so cool. Everything I make, I think, would she like it or wear it? And just like, what would an eccentric old lady wear, basically, is my question I ask myself. My favorite things right now are deep red, light burnt orange, and like a deep purple, and black and white stripe always. When I wear them and stuff, it makes me so happy. Like the deep colors is sort of like a warmth, something so authentic about them. Lately, every piece of clothing I make, I think of just like lines wrapping around the body, like just continuous lines. Almost like a puzzle. Like, how can I make every bit connect in a clever way? Like, what's the idea of pants, and how can one leg cross over to the other side, and then like the other bit go under that bit, and then connect to the top, and then connect back to the other bit. And it was like, I don't know why I wanted like it to all be like all tricky and stuff. Yeah, I love pattern making. So I always want someone to look at the garment and be like, wow, that's so interesting. Instead of just like something hanging off your body, I want it to like interact with the body. I was like looking at old kitchens and stuff, and I saw these really tacky fake fruits hanging from the ceiling, and I was like, that is so hideous and cool, and I was like, I want that on me. I just randomly made some chili clay earrings one night, and there's something just so like, yeah, just tacky about these shiny fruits hanging from your ear. It's really fun, like trying to make them look realistic, and for some reason everyone was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Really? I've been thinking like, because I don't really like the commercial side of fashion. I don't like new clothes all the time. I think it's wasteful and boring, and you can't develop anything enough. I think I want to do like really slow fashion and do sort of like really small collections, like annually or something, just like stuff you can wear all year and just forever. And almost like, yeah, make it so small and like special that you don't need more clothes.
Chris Hutchinson, aka Chippy. I am an artist, illustrator and printmaker based in Auckland, New Zealand. I work a part-time job and then make art and run a small risograph illustration studio on K Road called Inky Palms the other half of the time. I stayed in uni until fourth year. I got my honours. Essentially, my honours project was Inky Palms and making zines and learning about risography. We've just been floating by. So we started it in early 2015. We didn't really know what the space would be, but it sort of functioned as an art gallery, zine library, print space, and also sometimes we had like doof techno gigs in here, and that's when Dirk and Oliver sort of parted ways and Inky Waves sort of became its own thing, and Inky Palms continued, and that's when I sort of became more of the sole director of the space. Inky Palms will never really end in terms of like, it's just me. I like it as an umbrella to put my work and collaborative work I do. We've like thought of it maybe being a zine shop or a print shop, but I think studio appeals to me more. My vision is for it to be like a working studio predominantly, but then also maybe we have like a shelf where we sell stuff. part-time. It's good to do those markets. A lot of the time illustration is like a weird solitary practice, and it's nice to communicate with illustrators. I remember going to Zine Fest 2013 as well, and I remember just seeing a whole bunch of zines, and that like blew my mind, and then we started doing them. I'm really inspired by like freaking out typically mask Kiwi blokes, because I like colourful, cheeky, illustrative work, because I feel like as Kiwi men we're like often told to not be like out there or anything. It's not really like put down, so I'm just like not about that. I sort of grew up watching a lot of street artists and enjoying that. Like I sort of work in mediums like zines and murals and illustrations are sort of on that level where they're able to be appreciated by a lot of people. I've never had any doubt that like drawing was my thing. Like I started doing graphic design in year 12, then I went to AUT with no doubt and just kept doing it.
Creating spaces through drive and passion, ever-changing faces establishing new places, aural disposition, ocular composition, paving an imminent aisle of conception, bedroom art.